inside my head. I try to turn it down, but I can't quite drown it out. I'm tortured.
Welcome. Thanks so much for joining us today. You're listening to Society Bites Radio, and I'm your host, Dr. Richard Himmer.
And I'm Sherry Himmer, and this is Authentically You, social interaction for the mind and soul. For the next 25 minutes, we talk about healing and growth from the inside out, and we're so happy today. Remember, you are 100% responsible for your happiness, joy, and well-being.
I just wanted to see if my wife remembered the cue to keep on going.
Yeah, when he flaps his arms, it means keep on talking and do his part.
Last time I was about in the middle of a hiccup, and I couldn't stop
I just remember the times I did do your parts, and you were like so hurt, so crushed.
Yeah.
I didn't want to steal your thunder,
Thank
honey.
you. Appreciate it. What are we talking about today, Dave?
So we really want to kind of go into it's dark times. It's been feeling pretty heavy with the news. And how do we break feelings of depression, anxiety, and how do we not let the news control our mindset?
Yeah, and getting into it, just stuck in a trap of doing the same thing over, not able to get out, not able to interface, not able to touch. We're hardwired to connect. We need human interaction. We need it desperately.
This segment's really to help us move through the challenges, the emotional challenges of isolation that we probably are all experiencing. Podcast one are pretty helpful.
So some months ago, I created what's called the 7-day reboot. It's the intention of this one, and just so you know, Sherry and I over the next 6 months are going to put this material into a learning center online, like a school.
It'll be an online course.
Yeah. And there'll be a ton of information there, tons of courses. This is the first one called the 7-day reboot.
So this is a 7-day protocol to get yourself started in some healthy mindfulness.
Right.
And you put yourself into a better place emotionally.
Now, there's a number of articles and podcasts and videos that go along with this. I'm going to post this on my website so you can read everything, listen to everything on the website. And it's going to untitled.com/resources to get all the information there. We want to go through it with you today just as an overview so you can have an understanding of what to expect. Now, for some people, it's going to take 8, 9, maybe 10 days because the first part is heavy with information, articles that they'll be reading. So we cover awareness journal. We're going to cover mindfulness. We're going to cover rules of engagement. And then there's a whole protocol of what to fill out every day because you're going to fill out an awareness journal. We're going to break that down. So let's go over the 7-day reboot, the purpose of it, etc. So let me introduce it a little bit, and then Sherry's going to help me with it, trying to explain how this is going to work. So the purpose of this reboot is to find balance in 1 week's time. That's the idea. We want to be able to do that. Let me just get that for you, babe. It's to deliberately practice habits that lead to a habitat. Now, what that means is by doing something over and over again, you create an environment or a container or a habitat in which you live. Is that your habitat makes decisions for you. So if I'm teaching, like right now, I'm dealing with a lot of youth trying to help them figure out how to handle their time. Because
they're stuck at home.
Yeah, they're on teenage time slip, which means they go to bed later every night and they get up later every morning. There is no habitat, no container that is going to help them follow through. Because here's what happens. They're in school, and then my boy has to get up at, 5:30 every day. He goes to a scripture class in the morning called seminary. And from Monday to Friday, he's pretty good. And the emphasis is pretty good.
Yeah.
But he looks at this as something he has to do, not something he gets to do.
It's or a built-in structure that's given to him.
So Friday night and Saturday night, his mindset is, oh, good, I don't have to. The very thing that would keep him productive and moving in the right direction is what he's resisting against. Now, I think it's insane to force anyone to get up at 5:30 as a teenager. They're nocturnal by nature. But nevertheless, the point is that's what the schedule is. And high schools start early for seniors or for high schoolers. Now, what we want to do is, can you create an environment in 1 week's time that helps you balance yourself from this point on? Is there something you can do?
So the example of, our teenager experiencing influences from the outside upon him, a really golden opportunity we all have right now now, being stuck at home in quarantine, is that other than the news, we are home. We are being able to control our environment. So under those circumstances, either we're falling apart
Or we're gelling.
or we're really being able to grow and bloom. And we want to be one of those that flourish and blooms.
Right.
And this is an opportunity for you to craft and structure yourself so that you can control yourself when the outside influences come back impacting us. One of the benefits is that we are not running hither and thither all around the place, running errands and doing things that we used to do. Yeah. We also don't have people interrupting our schedule as much as they used to, because we're so self-contained. So we can see the blessings from this opportunity, and it's a golden opportunity. So we're going to give you some tools to turn it into that.
So second paragraph here. There are times in life when the buildup of stress, anxiety, and other stuff seems to be more than your ability to plow through it. If that time is now, you're ready to enter the 7-day reboot experience. This is an emotional reboot and will prepare you to see life through a different lens.
We live in a world that is heavy with contempt. We talked about that a lot last segment, judging and playing the role of a victim. The collective energy of these behaviors is tangible and weighs on you like a vice grip, ever pressing against the walls of protection. The cumulative noise that constantly barrages your senses numbs you into submission, so you're miserable, eternally stressed, or full of anxiety. Hope is relegated to the back seat. Well, what if that isn't true?
Isn't that powerful? What if nothing there has to be the way you view
Can I
life?
just insert a little anecdote? Working with colleagues on Zoom right now as we're trying to redefine what teaching students is online is very interesting. And it's stressful because it's a huge learning curve. And watched and experienced a colleague who was literally melting down.
So it's a teacher.
A teacher in tears, not knowing how to move forward, feeling stuck and frozen. Gave herself some time and started to act on something that she knew, and just like finding the one thing that she could control to get things going in motion and feeling better about it. So when we talk about a 7-day reboot, it's like giving you a protocol of things to act upon emotionally, because when you get to that point, like I saw this teacher this week who's a very capable person who's been teaching many years, she felt totally incapacitated. And that was a false narrative.
Yeah.
It totally is a false narrative. But because our environment has changed and we're now in this new circumstance, she was believing the false narrative that she felt was thrust upon her.
And the what if protocol is so darn powerful because it transcends positive affirmations. A positive affirmation will simply hit the critical faculty and bounce out because your subconscious doesn't believe it. It already has a false narrative running. And when you're in stress mode or anxiety mode, your false narrative, your saboteur inside, is going to be the filter that you have to penetrate. And it's not possible by saying, I can do this, I can do this.
Right.
That doesn't work. What does work is to ask it a question. Well, what if I can do it? Because when you ask what if, you see the entire purpose of the amygdala or the midbrain, the subconscious, is to stop you from having pain. That's it. It doesn't judge it's right or wrong. If drinking some alcohol helps you stop pain, it simply says, that's what I know I need to do. But your cognitive is the willpower. Your cognitive is the value structure. It wants to move and be happy. The midbrain or the subconscious is simply a mechanism to stop you. If you what if it, you're going to go, oh, that's interesting. I could do that. Is there a different way? I don't care as long as I get medication, as long as the pain stops. So when you what if anything, and then you imagine what it would be like, and then you imagine what it would feel like, you actually have a new experience. And the brain can't tell the difference whether it's for real or all those neurons that fire. If you imagine it again, and you what if it again, and you what if it again, neurons that wire together fire together. That's why we're naming it to tame it. Dr. Siegel's advice comes back over and over again. This is the application of his advice. So We're going to hit the pause button for a second, and we're going to do a 4-4-8. So I'm going to do it with Sherry and have her do the process.
Okay.
So this is what we're going to do.
First, we're going to get really comfortable.
So comfortable means you can be lying down, you can be sitting up, you can be standing, you can be walking, but don't be driving, at least for the purpose here. So as you're sitting there,
might not be safe.
Go ahead and close your eyes and take a deep 4-count breath in through your nose. So nice down to the abdomen. And now hold that for a 4. Now slowly release through your mouth to a count of 8. And as you're doing that, ask the question, what if I can feel at peace for the rest of today? What if I could feel good and at peace for the rest of today? What would that look like? Now imagine that. And how would that feel? Now, if you're doing this with me, notice how that feels. Notice the balance in the body. So this exercise is referred to as a 4-4-8. So what was that like for you, babe?
It's great because I really had a tension headache the last 12 hours, and it's definitely helping it.
So this 4-4-8 creates a balance in your body and brains. In the last segment, I simply talked about the sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, how you're bringing those into balance. Bipolar is an extreme movement on both of those systems. The sympathetic is active and alert, you go to manic. The parasympathetic is calm and relaxed, you go to depressed. That's bipolar. If you can't balance those, you're in a pretty tough position, and Western medicine wants to guess at the medication they're going to give you. What if bipolar had more to do with the false narratives you've got running on inside your brain? What if you could actually mitigate a lot of bipolar symptoms by learning how to balance yourself from the inside out instead of the outside in? Okay, so that's where we're going with it. So there's a strong body of research to support the positive impact on this technique. So got a phone call from a newly married bride. We'll call her Gertie.
Because all wives are called Gertie in our show.
Actually, the husband called me. We go back 8-9 years. When he was just a teenager, he's now married. We went to the reception, and his wife was having a really rough go. And it's a compilation of a lot of things. But in effect, all she said was, I keep having these thoughts. So this is like the other Ralph that we were talking about, who kept having memories of his
Negative memories come back.
Well, that was what was happening to her. She was having memories come back from her youth when she was young. Not real young, but fairly young. What I did with her on the phone, I didn't see her, and we've met her once, right, is simply put her into a nice, beautiful, guided mindfulness. Walked her through it and let her release the energy associated with that. I got to tell you guys, if you understand the power of learning how to connect with your subconscious, that's where you're going to find this healing process. It took 5 minutes, 7 minutes, and the relief you could hear on the phone was palpable. She just got a chance to release the negative energy. She happens to believe in Christ, so we use the atonement to release that. Some people just believe in a higher power. It works for both sides. Okay, so picking it up. For the next 7 days, if you follow the protocol, you will deliberately practice being happy, being content, and balanced. Every day that we're going to go through this one, you're going to have activities. You'll have 3 to 4 articles to read, which I told you about. Are going to be on
the website at hammerstone.com.
/resources. There's going to be at least 2 videos, at least 2 podcasts that we've done. We've covered these. There's quite a bit more, but we'll resource them in there. But most of all, what you're going to do is you're going to practice self-awareness to a level you've never experienced. Let's go ahead and define self-awareness, because this is important to understand. It's at the bottom.
Okay. It is recognizing and understanding one's own emotions. What causes them? What impact do they have on others? What impact do others' emotions have in return? And this is the beginning place for all emotional intelligence growth.
All healing starts with self-awareness.
Yeah, and it's like, if you're a parent, this is really important for you to have your children learn self-awareness. It's huge in school.
So self-awareness is the #1 tool that you're